Hello, everyone, and happy Thanksgiving. I'm Brittany Bailey. Well, it is a tradition that dates all the way back to 2007. We're talking about Friendsgiving, a large meal shared with friends near the Thanksgiving holiday. It's a concept many of us have embraced during the years because for many of us, our friends are our family, which is why we looked internally here at WBIR to find recipes that are old, new, and representative of our people and their families. Some of them are just starting out as young adults, while others have been adulting for a while now. The recipes are all unique, but they share a special bond. The key ingredient in each recipe is love. Welcome to the kitchen, everyone, for our WBIR Friendsgiving. And we've got our first recipe up with Cassie Knoll.
Hey, welcome. We are going to be talking about my Grammy's mac and cheese today.
It already sounds good. You've sold me.
It is really good. I want to let everybody know that this is a baked mac and cheese. So it's a little bit of a different consistency than if you made the sauce and then added the noodles to it. By baking it, it's a little firmer and also a little drier, less saucy than a normal sauced mac and cheese would be.
And you've got all of the ingredients ready to go. It starts with something very simple.
We're going to start with the noodles. She always made it with elbow noodles, so this is a pound of elbow noodles that I have gone ahead and boiled for you. They've dried out slightly, and we'll just go ahead and put them right on into our bowl right here. I'll tell you, the reason that this became such a family staple is because I was such a picky eater when I was a child that anytime we ate at Grammy's house, no matter what we were eating, she would always make this and have it for me because sometimes I just was too picky to eat the green bean casserole or the mashed potatoes or the stuff like that. So we had some mac and cheese on the table at just about every family dinner we had with her.
And we're not skimping on the butter, it looks like.
Not at all. This is actually an entire stick of butter that I am cutting up into pieces and adding into the bowl. You just kind of bury them in there, let them melt just a little bit. Well, all the way actually, because you want to coat the noodles in the lovely flavor of the butter. And I go with salted butter because, in my opinion, you can't ever have like a little too, sometimes you can have a little too much salt in a recipe, but this is not one of those recipes.
And I imagine you also are salting the noodles when you're boiling them.
I salted the water that I was putting the noodles in a little bit earlier. And we'll just let that butter kind of melt down in there for a minute while we prep our cheese.
The key ingredient here.
Of course, in the mac and the cheese. So we'll go ahead and let that sit for just a minute there. And now let's talk about our cheese addition that we're going to do right here. So my grandmother would only do 2 cups of cheese, and she always just would do shredded cheddar. But in an effort to take this up a notch, because I've never had anybody say, oh, your mac and cheese is too cheesy. Who says that? Don't invite them if they say that kind of stuff. We're going to go ahead and put in 3 cups of cheese, and I've gone ahead and done a shredded cheddar and a Monterey Jack mix. But whatever you want to do, you can add in. Whatever your ancestors tell you, that's about how I do with this stuff.
So now, did you get the pre-shredded? Because we hear back and forth that the pre-shredded can have a coating on it, and so sometimes you want to shred your own. But in this dish, I don't know if that matters.
It doesn't. You can do whichever way you please. I bought the pre-shredded kind because that's easier.
Of course.
And I got the thicker shredded, not the fine shredded, because I find with mac and cheese, I don't want the cheese to disappear either.
True.
And get lost in there with the finely shredded stuff. So then we add our 2 tablespoons of flour into our cheese. Well, and this is again an addition that I've come up with over the past couple years because I just want to, like I said, take it up a little bit of notch. I add a little bit of garlic powder in there. I'm not measuring anything besides the flour because we just see how we feel today.
Measure with your heart.
Are we feeling garlicky? Today
yes.
We are.
And I'm smelling it, so we're definitely feeling it and smelling it.
And then I put in some Italian seasoning to give it a little extra as well. Again, whatever you like. If you like the herby taste, go for it. I'm going to add some salt in with the cheese here because it's just a little easier than sometimes mixing it in with the actual noodles.
Yep.
I did make this dish earlier today, and that version did not have enough salt. So I'm going to add a little bit of extra here. I'm personally not a fan of pepper, so I'm not going to put pepper in here. But if somebody is a fan of pepper at home, put your pepper. This is your mac and cheese. You do what you want.
Now, you mentioned these are your sort of additions. Did you tell your Grammy that you were making these changes?
No, she made it every time, and I respected that. After she passed away, I made it, and then I was like, I feel like I want to add a couple things to this because, I have different taste buds now than when I was like 6 years old.
Of course, of course.
Yes. So
she would approve. You're just carrying on the family tradition and adding a little bit.
She would eat whatever. As long as it had the butter and the cheese, it's good to go. Also, by the way, her tradition was to just put this in the pan you were going to bake it in and then stir it inside that pan. First, her pan is way too small. And second, I find it's easier just to do it in a bowl and then pour it into the pan unless you want a mess all over your kitchen. I also would recommend a 13x9 pan, something at least 3 quarts, because anything less is just going to be a mess.
She was just trying to be economical. Fewer dishes to wash, right?
She was, and every time I've made it since then, it goes everywhere. But I still make it in the same dish that she made it in, just out of nostalgia. So something else you would normally mix in here would also be 2 eggs, but I forgot my 2 eggs. So normally you would have already kind of whisked your 2 eggs and added them in here. Then you would add your cheese and all of the additions that I added to the cheese, and we're going to go ahead and mix it all up in there. Just like that.
And I imagine with an entire stick of butter, we do not need to grease the pan.
We do not need to grease the pan. It will not be a problem. And even if it sticks a little bit, that's okay. See, I already poured it on the counter. Just like you at home will do if you do the same thing.
This is real kitchen activity, folks.
I swear I'm actually like a really clean cook when I'm cooking at home, but this mac and cheese recipe is just got a mind of its own.
They say if you're not making a mess in the kitchen, you're not doing it right.
That's right. It tastes better when you try it off the counter sometimes, right? Pick up the little bites along the way.
Yeah, you definitely could not have gotten away with a much smaller pan than that.
No,
for sure.
wait till I show you her actual dish. You're gonna be like, oh, I know why she's prefacing it this way as well. Here's our dish, and
Looking
then
so good.
The final fatty ingredient.
Now this is interesting. You didn't pour the milk in and stir it up while it was in the bowl. You're putting it on in here.
Yes. So she would do it this way.
That's the way you got to do it then.
You got to pour it in, and you don't want the stuff to float, because then you're just eating a bowl of milk. But you want to make sure that your noodles are all spread out evenly, and you want to fill it to where you can kind of see the milk kind of in the top noodles. You'll also hear it. I don't think you can hear it on my mic, but it's going while it's like absorbing the milk in there, filling up the noodles. I'm also using whole milk because, again, calories.
Don't count.
They don't count when you're making Grammy's mac and cheese.
No way.
And then this is when you can add maybe a little bit more salt on the top, and when you would add your pepper, which since I'm going to be sharing this with the newsroom, I'll throw the pepper on.
All right.
Let's go ahead. Let's go wild.
It's funny, we're the exact opposite because I love pepper.
Do you really?
Yes, put on as much pepper as you can.
But you also like pickles, right?
I do, I love pickles.
We have opposite taste buds.
We would not order the same thing on the
We
menu.
would not. Not at all. But this still, also for anybody who is lactose intolerant, this is not the dish for you.
No.
Sorry, guys. And then we would bake that for an hour at 350. And let me pull the one I made earlier out of the oven. It is not hot. So for those of you who are like, oh my gosh, she just grabbed a hot pan. No, I didn't. No, I did not. But this is what the finished product looks like. Right there, it's got the little crispy crunchies on the top.
Good.
And inside, it's moist and very delicious. And this is Grammy's old pan.
Her actual dish.
This is her actual dish. And like I said, it's too small. It makes a mess everywhere when you're making it, but I swear it just tastes better coming out of there.
Well, I can't wait to give it a taste, and we hope that you give that a try at home too. This time, we're going sweet with this WBIR Friendsgiving recipe. And I got a little taste test of this one, so I'm already giving it 2 thumbs up. Lauren is joining us now. What are we making?
So we are making a dessert dip. I'm super excited to show y'all how to make this. I didn't grow up making this. I honestly started making it 2 years ago. When I was in North Dakota, it was my first Thanksgiving away from home. And so I was invited by this kind woman I interviewed to go to their Thanksgiving, and so when I was invited for Christmas, I was like, I can't come empty-handed, so I made this dessert dip, and now it's just an easy go-to whenever I have to bring anything to a function.
How do you get started? What are the ingredients?
So the ingredients are graham crackers, or you can use animal crackers for dipping, just whipped topping, marshmallow fluff, cream cheese that's softened, mini chocolate chips, and brown sugar.
All the good stuff. All right, well, let's show us how to make it.
So first, I like to start with the cream cheese. Softening it is probably the part that takes the longest.
Yeah.
So we set this out earlier, and so you just undo the packaging and put it in the bowl.
And you probably could help yourself along with a little electric beater, maybe, if you wanted to.
You could.
I mean, sometimes doing cream cheese by hand is not easy, I know.
But I also don't make enough to an electric mixer. This is like my one little
a little hand one. All right, so you've got this, or
yes.
Okay.
So you can honestly just chop it up with a spoon, or you can do a little hand mixing. Brittany, I feel like you bake, you might be a little better at the hand mixing.
Oh, no. Well, if you want, I can do that part.
So,
If you
yeah.
want to add in the other ones, so here, I'll take over. I'll be the workhorse here, and then I'll be smushing this up.
Then you take the whipped topping. I honestly got the big one, but you can just use a regular size 8 ounce because you only use about half of it. So this will be like a fourth of it. So then we can just go ahead and
Put it right in here.
Mix it in. And so now that we're done, honestly, I don't mind using the same spoon because at the end of the day, it's all mixed the same. And these marshmallow fluff jars are single use, so it doesn't really matter that there's a little bit of Cool Whip.
Because you're using that entire jar.
You are. This is probably the hard part too.
Getting it out of here.
It's so sticky.
I mean, if you have a dip with 3 things, cream cheese, whipped topping, and marshmallow fluff, there's sort of no way you're going to go wrong with this.
There is no way you can go wrong except for taking it home at the end of the night. I always just leave it wherever I bring it because I'm like, I don't need to take this home and just eat it.
Well, then I'm sure you're a guest who's always welcome back if you leave this behind. All right, it's sort of coming together. I'm doing my best here.
It honestly looks pretty good, Brittany.
All right.
And so now we're gonna mix in a cup of chocolate chips. It's nice having you help because usually it's just me doing all of these steps at once.
I mean, you know, I'm Brittany Sous Chef Bailey, so this works. And you know, if you want to get a little arm workout, guys, this is the
really is.
recipe for you.
And so I'll do about half, and we can mix it in now.
Okay.
The brown sugar is also optional. I don't really know what it adds.
I mean,
But
sugar.
On top of all the other sugar in this. But I just like to add it just because it does help, I feel.
Well, if that's, you know, the recipe you learned, then that's sort of tradition at this point.
And so
Oh yeah, we need more chocolate chips in here. Add them in.
we can also add some at the top.
Oh, like when you're done. So are you going to add? Are you going to add brown sugar or not? What are we thinking?
So I just like to eyeball the brown sugar because everything is already pretty sweet. So technically it's supposed to be a tablespoon, but I just like to look and say, this is enough.
That seems like good. Okay. That seemed perfect. And then you top it with even more chocolate chips, is that correct?
Yes. So my favorite part about this dip is that once you're done, you're done. So it's ready to serve.
Oh, do I get to do it? Okay.
Once you're done, you're pretty much done.
And then, like you said, you could serve it with the animal crackers, but you've got here.
So I have honey graham crackers. I like doing these the best. Some people like to do the whole, like, 2 squares. I like to share and split them.
Okay, then shall we do a little toast? All right, and what do you call this dip? Just dessert dip?
This is just a dessert dip.
All right, cheers to dessert dip.
Cheers.
We hope you give it a shot. We are back with another dessert for WBIR Friendsgiving, and I'm excited about this one. Anything that involves chocolate, I'm all in. And this is Lexi joining us now to share her recipe. So what are you making today?
I am making a fudge pie. It's been in my family for, I don't even know how long. My grandmother would make it, and then my mom made it, and then she tried to pass the recipe down to my brother and sister. They can't bake though, so it went on to me, and now it's my responsibility on Christmas and Thanksgiving to make the fudge pie.
Well, I'm excited to learn how to make it. How do we get started? It looks like we start with making your life a little easier,
Yes,
right?
store-bought pie crust. I'm not talented enough to make my own pie crust, so store-bought, take it out of the freezer, let it thaw for a little bit. It really does make your life a whole lot easier. But from there, we just start mixing everything together, starting off with some sugar.
Gotta have that.
Oh yeah, it's the holidays. You can't have a holiday without sugar.
And people might be familiar with this recipe. You called it a fudge pie. Some people also call it a chocolate chess pie.
Yes.
So might be familiar, a very popular dessert for sure. You gotta fill it up to the top there.
Yeah, we'll do a little extra sprinkle, you know? It's the holidays. None of this counts. But that was about 1.5 cups of sugar and then 3 heaping tablespoons of cocoa powder.
Those are heaping tablespoons for sure. We're gonna make this chocolatey.
It has to be chocolatey.
And that's the typical unsweetened cocoa powder you would get in the
Yes.
store.
And then from there, I have to refer to this.
You've got your cute little baking card here, by the
Yes.
way. Very cute, so we know exactly what we're adding in. And you're gonna do that whole can?
Just half of it.
Just half a can.
You
And that's
can get
evaporated milk.
Yeah, you can get a smaller can. I typically get the bigger ones because I always make 2 pies. Always make 2 fudge and 2 pumpkin for each holiday, so it saves you some time. And then you have your 2 eggs.
We're gonna get your skills at cracking eggs
Oh,
on
I'm
camera
not
now.
great at doing that either.
Perfect. No shells.
As far as we know.
And that's, a really good trick. I know people don't think about this, but you really shouldn't crack your eggs on the side of the bowl because that's when you could get the shells into it, crack it on something else,
Yeah.
and then pour it in.
That's like what my mom always taught me, so.
She taught you well.
She claims that she didn't teach me anything, that I just sat in the kitchen and watched her, but she still teaches me. Like, I will call her, like, even for this, I was like, Reba, I need help. Like, is this right? And like sometimes, because I tried writing this recipe out myself and I like couldn't read my own handwriting. And I was like, help, please. And then for Christmas last year, she gave me and my sister each a recipe box
Aw.
with everything that we need for the holidays or just favorites that we grew up eating when we were a kid.
That's a very sweet gift.
Very sentimental.
And you're just whisking this up, and then you
Yeah.
have some melted butter too, right?
And I'll add that in.
How much is that? Was
This
it
is
a
about
half a stick?
half a stick.
Half a stick of butter.
And I like mixing it up first, just so that way the butter kind of mixes in a lot smoother.
Yeah, because you definitely want it to be as smooth as possible,
Oh,
that's
yeah.
for sure. Make sure you're getting out all of the dry bits of the cocoa powder. See, this is a fairly easy one bowl recipe too.
No, it is. It really
So,
is.
For people who are a little bit intimidated about baking and cooking, this could be a great entry level to do. Easy to learn, right?
Yeah, this, like, again, it helps having the recipe card. As you can see, I've been referring back to it because I'm afraid of forgetting something. But it's one of the easiest, at least desserts that I think I've ever made as far as like from family recipes.
Well, speaking of just a few ingredients, simple ingredients, there's one more, the vanilla, or did we add that already?
Oh, yes, the vanilla. Thank you. That is another thing that I almost always forget.
That's why I'm here, to make sure you don't forget anything.
And typically that's also my sister's job. Like, she'll look over everything and just kind of make sure that it's all good. And that is 1 teaspoon, and I always add like a little extra.
I love it.
And then once you get it mixed up, you'll pour it into your pie crust, making sure as many of the clumps are out as possible.
And if you want, I'll help you. I'll switch spots.
Thank
Move
you.
this over for you.
And I always put my pie crust on a cookie sheet just in case it overflows.
Such a good idea.
I do also get like the deep dish crusts because I feel like they allow for more error.
Yes. That looks incredible already. So chocolatey. Now, once you get in there, you'll put it in the oven at 325 for how long?
Between 45 and 50 minutes. It kind of just depends on your oven, how long it normally takes. It's about 45 minutes, but me personally at home, it takes me about 50 to 55.
Depending upon your oven, right?
Yeah, you just want to make sure it's completely set when you pull it out. And
There we
It
go.
is.
And this is a fudge pie
A fudge pie.
by Lexi. All right, if you'd like to try it, we'll have the recipe for you.
Up next, we're talking sides, from a sweet potato casserole that would also make a great dessert to an unsung hero on the dinner table just now getting its respect. That's right, Brussels sprouts have made a comeback, and we're cooking them for our Friendsgiving feast.